Today I want to talk to you about the Wolverine 8mm Super 8 film to digital converter, the Pro model. Now I went for the Pro model because it takes a larger spool of film and some of the films that I need to convert are on larger spools. It's not a bad idea to purchase or acquire an empty larger spool, particularly if you're going to be converting films that are spooled to this size. But also if you like me find that the film that you're trying to convert is the reels of film are full, like this one, it just gives that little bit more space, just to stop the thing unspooling once it's finished. Great piece of equipment. I'm very pleased with it. The quality and the standard of film that it's producing is really good. Obviously, the limitations are that 8mm film is deteriorating. I've got films that go back to 1960, and some of those older films, the colour and the quality of picture is starting to fade, which is why I'm trying to convert them to MP4. It comes out of the box like this. You have an arm that you're going to raise so that you can fit your spool on there. It shows you quite clearly the route that you have to put the film in to the receiving spool. You have these two little converters for fitting different sizes. If you're using Super 8, that I'm led to believe that's the size of the spool. I'm using 8mm, so they fit straight on here, but these larger spools I've found tend to need an adapter. The back of the machine, you've got a number of ports. You've got a USB port, an old-fashioned USB port for loading it straight into a computer. You've got a TV out port for plugging it into the television, so you can use a larger screen to watch what you're actually recording. And then the method I'm using SD card. Now, it will only take up to 32 gigabyte SD, micro SD or SD cards. So I'm using SanDisk Ultra's 32 gigabyte, and they work perfectly well for this type of recording. The reason I use micro SDs is because I've got a number of pieces of equipment that use micro SDs, and so it just means I've got all sorts of different sizes of SD card. And then finally the power in cable, which just plugs into, it's an American plug, comes with an American style plug, so you do need a plug adapter. So it plugs into the plug adapter, plugs into the main. So let's load up a film onto this bad boy. The other thing I found to help you with holding the film in place whilst you're stringing it up, plastic clothes peg, and you'll see why in a minute. So luckily for me, most of my films, the films that I'm converting, have got a leader strip there, so I haven't got to handle the film stock. As we've already said, it's already deteriorating. I don't want to increase the speed of that. Now what I like to do is put a clothes peg onto there, and that holds that down, so it stops it unspooling whilst I'm fiddling around with it. I did have a couple of nightmares when I first started doing this. And then it feeds into the system, follows the route as shown, the solid white line. You have three little white tags. It has to go underneath those white tags, so it's a little bit fiddly, and then follow the line all the way through to the receiving spool. One of the things I noted, another thing that you might want to purchase, the machine comes with one of these little tiny brushes with the little puffers in them. Now they're okay, but what I found for my own experiences with cameras and what have you is you want a nice big puffer so you can get in here and blow any dust out. You do get an accumulation on this wiping pad here. You do pick up grains of dust on the actual camera, and obviously all the way through the process there, and that's really annoying because you get a speck of dust on the camera. Basically, essentially, you've got to redo the film. So it is worth kind of watching it every so often. And if you notice that there's suddenly getting an aberration on the appearing on the screen, stop the film, clean it, and then resume. And all you'll have done was you'll create another file, and so in edit you just string those films together. So make sure we've got all the dust out. Some little hairs there. So that's nice and clean. And then we've got the fiddly task of stringing this up. So I find that you do the middle one first, which is pushing it to the back, and then you twist the film to get it in behind the other two tags. See that? So holding it in place, and then the same thing on this side. Just take this, twist it, feed it in behind that tag, and there is the film strung up behind the three little tags. We then close down the gate, which locks in place, and then we can run the route that it's got to follow. So we can feed this over here, and the beauty of having that clothes peg on there, it stops that. If it does start to unwind, the clothes peg will stop that, and also it holds that back down onto there, which is nice. Follow this route, follow the route, over, under, over. All a little bit fiddly, but once you've done it a few times you discover it's not that hard. Because I'm using a large spool which has got the Super 8 style thing, I need to use the adapter. So you've got a grey adapter for this grey one, you've got a red adapter for the red tab on which is on the machine. Push that into place, line it up, push that into place, and then we're just going to thread the film. Again, fiddly. The more times you do it, the easier it becomes. Now you can adjust where the actual camera is shooting at the film, and you've got various adjustments on this panel here, but I found actually the default is about right, so I don't want to mess with it. You've got an 8mm and a Super 8 film select switch. We're using 8mm film, so we switch it to 8mm, switch the machine on. As you can see, it's got a little window there, sets itself up, and then it's set up to go. So just press the enter button. It tells you about the 8mm select. We've already selected 8mm. Press the enter again. Please wait. Remove your clothes peg, and away it goes. Now what you're going to find is that quite probably there'll be a splice where the leader film is connected to the film, and sometimes that splice will jam in the process there. It's not an issue if it happens. We'll see if it happens this time. Looks like quite a chunky splice on there, so I think there's every chance it will jam. I mean, if you want to, you can stop and start the film when you get to the first frame of picture. That will start a new file, so when it comes to the editing and downloading of the film, you won't have dead footage. I quite like to use that footage to put my title screens on. So there you can see it's jammed. So all we need to do is we'll open up the gate and just feed that through. Let it fed through, and there, and away you go. Now, by doing that with it still in shot, you haven't created another file. So, and away you go. Holiday shots of Yugoslavia, 1970. And you can see you've got a little monitor screen there showing you what pictures it's taking. It's taking a photograph or a picture of every frame of this movie. And trust me, the quality, if the film quality is good, the quality is good. It's doing it in 1080p. Another reason I went for the Pro. Now obviously it's shooting about 2 frames a second, and I think Super 8 or 8 is shooting in about 20 frames a second, so you can see how long it's going to take. So a 20-minute film is probably going to take a couple of hours to download. So we'll leave that cooking away. You can't leave it. You have to have it in the background. You can be doing other things, and what I tend to do is my film editing and what have you, and you can just hear that sound. If it suddenly you don't get that click, 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 you know that something's gone wrong. You need to be able to stop what you're doing, come over and sort out, resolve whatever the problem is. And another thing, it's not a bad idea to do, is every so often just check this screen to make sure you haven't got a spot that is staying stationary. You can see there's little grains of dust going through and little things on the frames. I suppose if I was going to be really purist about it, I'd need to wipe the whole film. But these are old films. I really don't want to put them through too many passages through, because each time you do that you are taking away quality. So we'll leave that chugging away in the background. I've got some editing to do, and then we'll come back a little bit later to look at the finished article and show you how to rewind the film. Yeah, great bit of kit, very pleased with it, well worth the expense. Right, some time has passed and the film has finished. So one of the features of this recording device is that it switches off when it gets to the end of the tape. It doesn't do it every time, can I say, but generally it reaches the end and switches off, which is actually quite nice, because I wasn't in the room when it finished, and it could cause a problem, but it switched itself off. So we're now going to rewind this, so we need to open up the gate, feed out the film, and then reverse it. So this involves putting the red, because I'm using this large spool, putting the red attachment on there, placing this on here. This is the original spool that the film was on, so I have to remove that adapter. That clicks in place, and then you can see the dotted line is the route that this follows. So we need to shut down the gate, feed this around. These are the things I've been looking at during the time that this has been operating. As I say, it's been going for quite a while, some hours. And then just wind that onto there. Now, I'm going to want to put the thing that's recorded onto the memory disk into my laptop. And what I found is you need to take that out before you start the rewinding process. So there's the SD card out. Switch on the machine. It will tell you that you need to insert an SD card. Well, you don't need to insert an SD card to run the film. So what we do is we go into menu, rewind, and then press that. It will say go. Press that, and away it goes. And it rewinds at that speed. Now, I have heard people criticise this for the speed this actually rewinds. I actually quite like that. It's not whizzing away too fast. So it's all under control, and it gives me a little bit of time to be putting this into my laptop whilst that's going on. So let's do that. And there we go. Doesn't stop automatically when it's doing that, so you have to be on the ball with that, otherwise you're doing it with a mess. On transferred film.
to the silent trees. I won't forget, you know, the secrets of the late night breeze. It's all pretend, don't you